Hi guys. Another day, January 8th, and we have 50-degree weather outside, so I was able to get into the garage here. In today's video, we're going to talk about this. This is a new tool I got last week after taking a chunk out of my finger and everything. So I make a lot of stuff out of metal and everything, but one of the things I make is these horseshoe hooks for shoes and everything, or not shoes, jackets. And I have to nick off the end of a railroad spike and weld it to a horseshoe. And up until last week, I would just put that there and then put a C-clamp or a clamp there or a vise or whatever and hold it in place. But last week, I was doing that and the grinder got wedged and then it jerked out of my hand and it took a chunk out of my finger. So finally I sat down and I was like, I need an abrasive saw. Problem is I didn't have money to buy a regular abrasive chop saw and everything. And plus I didn't have the room to keep one. When I'm not in here, it's got to live somewhere else inside. So yeah. So I've been looking at these for a while. They're real nice and everything. It's small. This one here is $25 on Amazon. $15 grinder from Harbor Freight. So this video is just check that for you. See it? It's real nice. Lets you lock. That's the vise, so you can lock stuff down. That comes down, cuts it. This video is going to be about assembling this because I had to, when I assembled this. For one thing, the video that they have of a guy doing this was just too jumpy. You couldn't follow him at all. And the instructions I found lacking, which happens to a lot of times. So this is going to be a small video about assembling this item. And hopefully it'll help some people out. I'm going to put a link to this in the description. Like I said, grinder's a $15 grinder from Harbor Freight. Reasons I bought this instead of a regular one, well, like I said, money. Usually abrasive saws are north of $130, $140. Didn't have that. Size, I have to keep it somewhere else when it's not being used. And plus, all the tools have to be taken in and out of here, so this doesn't weigh much at all compared to a real chop saw. Options. This is just a grinder, so I can take this loose from this rig and use it just as a grinder with different heads and everything. Plus, if the grinder does break, I can just go get another grinder. I could go get a battery grinder and put it on this if I really wanted to. So it leaves options and versatility. There's a couple of... So if you look at the listing that I'm going to send you, there's stuff missing and everything in the listing. Like, this bolt here is not in it. There's a bolt back here to the grinder that's not in the picture. Yeah. So this is going to be a short video about assembling this. Oh yeah, and there's 2 bolts that came with this. For the life of me, I cannot find where they go. And like I said, the instructions leave a lot to be desired, so they don't say anything. But I've used it, and it works great. I hope you all like it. So I'm going to take some time and disassemble this, and then I'll give you guys an overview of all the parts, and then we'll start reassembling. So give me just a bit of time to disassemble this. Okay guys, so here's a slight overview of all the parts that come with this. I'll flip this around here so you guys can get a look. There's a slight overview of everything. Okay. Like I said earlier, there's some parts that I have no idea where they go, and that's these guys right here. So these 2 nuts and bolts. This guy over here. These nuts and bolts here. These 2 plastic pieces. This is for the cord, but I don't need that and everything. Okay. So that's all of that. One thing I want to tell you guys is you get 2 of these. This guy and this guy here. One is flat. See how flat that is. And then one is angled. The angled one is going to come sit down here when you get this in to the product. I'll show you. And the flat one is going to be up here. And the pictures online, they only have the one at the bottom. So the pictures on the listing, they only have the this. They don't have the grinder in. So they don't have the top guy here, which is this guy in place, which is vital because you need to keep this at a 90-degree angle, and without that it's going to go like this. But I'll show you guys that in a minute. Safety guard. This here is part of the safety guard. It attaches. So you got this screw right here, sits right there just like that, and then this goes through and gets attached to this guard. This guard is just a piece of plastic. It's kind of chintzy, but it's okay. Okay, let me get that back out because I don't want to lose it. This guy here sits underneath of this guy here and is bolted in with this guy here. So this goes underneath of this. He goes underneath of this, and then this goes through and sandwiches this to the bottom. The other thing I want to tell you is when you first get this piece here is all the way back, and you don't want that. So you just loosen these bolts here, and you can move it forward and everything. I'll show you that in a minute. Another thing let me put this back. One thing I want to show you is these guys. Let me take this loose. So these are what actually the arms that bolt to your grinder, and they sit here and here, there and there, with the skeletal inward. So you want nice side out, skeleton. Your grinder's going to sit here, facing upwards. Alright, so first things first, I'm going to, let's see, what am I going to do first? Oh, so I'm going to attach these in. I'm going to attach this here. They come with these Allen heads, which work for all of this, but you're going to need sockets or wrenches in order to tighten stuff up. Alright. Oh yeah, and these guys, these sit here. I want to show you this. Sit here and here, and then you tighten them in and out with the grinder sitting here, and that will give you your, so like the grinder's gonna sit here facing downwards, and without those two there, you want to get a 90, so you have to plane them in and out in order to get a straight cut down in between here. Otherwise you're going to cut one side or another or off or whatever. But I'm going to show you step by step, so just give me a minute. Let me get this back in the cradle and I'll start assembling for you. Okay guys, so when you first get this, everything's going to be loose except for this guy. This guy's going to be all the way up here, so you just need to loosen these bolts, bring it down. But this is going to be flimsy. Okay, you got to put that under, come on, under there like that, and then using this bolt, goes through here, turn it over, like that. So now that's attached and everything, so very simple. There you go. I'm going to tighten that down. Pay no attention to the clutter over there. Okay, so there's that. That's in place. One thing I have noticed is that this thread rod is really tight. I might switch that out. I don't know yet. Okay. Attach these guys now into these places. There, and then this one's going to sit there. Some of it's self-explanatory, some of it is. Oh yeah, and also this does not come attached, so you gotta put the handle in. Well, that's nothing big. It sits in this little channel here. This nut, and then it threads into that, and it squeezes between there. Come on. Gotta get this lined up properly. Oh, technical difficulties. You want to leave these kind of loose. Okay, so you want it like that. Skeletons inwards. The grinder's gonna sit in here, going this way. Okay. Now we're gonna attach these guys. Like I said, you have a flat one and you have a slanted one. There you go. These guys like this. Yeah, flat one and a slanted one. Angled one. Okay, these sit. Flat one sits here. Angle one sits here. And okay, so those sit like that. Technically, no, I don't want to do that very fast. What we want to do is want to attach this to the base now. Actually, they give you these two Allen heads that bolt straight into here and here. Okay. Back up a little, get in frame for you guys. There you go. Yeah, these Allen heads, there's two of them. They thread in there and here. We've got a lock washer and they got a regular washer on them. They do it like that. Sits like this. Try to stay out frame and give you guys a good look. Same time, you want to leave these kind of loose so you can adjust later. So now, the rig is technically attached. Alright, those two screws, those are in. I might change out this thread rod because it seems to be having problems. Change out the thread rod, and wallow out that. Not wallow it out, put a die through it. Okay, tap or die. Alright, so these are in. We're gonna put these in now. Like I said, you got a slanted one and you have a flat one. The slanted one you want up top here. That's how I find it. And you want this one here. In the pictures, they don't have this one in. They don't have this one in. You adjust this in and out, and that adjusts the pitch of the grinder, because the grinder is going to sit like this. So by adjusting this, you adjust it in and out like that. Okay. Now we are going to go ahead and we are going to attach the grinder in. We're going to need these two bolts here. Right here. Grinders are most part ambidextrous, for left and right hand people. So there's a screw there and a screw there for this guy, which comes with the grinder. Thread into there, thread into there. These points are what's going to connect this grinder to the rig. Actually, first thing I'm going to do, because I did this myself. I'll talk about that and get ahead of myself. These are two extra bolts that I had laying around. I put them in, because as you can see, this just sits in there. So those do not come with this rig, guys, these two extra bolts. I'm sorry to say. That's my own contribution to this. Okay. So with these two bolts through here and here, through here and here, I got a thread into these handholds here on the grinder. So let's see now. It goes in like that. This. Okay. And then your grinder will go in. Started into there. There you go. Yeah, they only have one of these in the pictures. But you need both in order to stabilize this grinder properly. So don't be fooled thinking you only need one. Alright, so see if I can get you an angle. So the bolt there goes into the grinder. Bolt there goes into the grinder. As you can see, the grinder wants to do that number. That's where these two come in. the guys that I add that bolt to. So you're gonna line your blade up with this as best you can. Use a square, use whatever method you can to get there. Because otherwise it's gonna hit that plate there. So you might need to finagle with the rig a little bit, because I'm actually gonna have to bring this entire thing, this entire rig this way, which is easy because these nuts here and here, which thread into this body, they got some wiggle room. So we're gonna adjust them real fast. Okay, now we're just finagling to get everything lined up properly. Then we'll tighten everything down. Yeah, that is dead. So when you bring your grinder down, you want it dead center in this channel here. Let me show you real fast. This channel here, you want this blade dead center. All right, now we're going to adjust, because as you can see, the grinder still wants to do this. This bolt here and this bolt down here, the ones with the black, this guy here and his brother down lower, are what's going to take that out, where it won't be able to do that. Alright guys, so we are back. Sorry about that, I had to take a minute. Hardest, so everything is on except for the shroud now, but I just want to take a minute to talk to you. So, the hardest part of this whole thing is tensioning these two bolts here, which keep the grinder vertical at 90, so that you can cut straight through there. So you're gonna have to, that's a bit of a problem. I don't like, but you know. Also, you're gonna have to work with this here to move it into position so that the blade goes in between here. But really, that's that. And now we are going to go ahead and we're going to attach this shroud, which isn't that hard, really. So they give you this. And grab the socket here. And there we go. So there's that. Now, right here. Move closer for you guys. I showed you this earlier. I'm going to show you again. You got this Allen head nut that sits right there. There, and there's a hole. So this guy goes into that hole there. Let me loosen this Allen head a little bit. Or actually, let me get it. There you go. You spin this around. And it's going to be like that. I went ahead and marked mine. item is assembled. I do have a little tie down that I use to tie this down so it stays like that and everything. Another thing you might notice is that the bottom of the grinder here will hit that, but at the same time this blade will pass under that, through this hole. So you're cutting through your stuff and everything. That acts as a stop, kind of, which I kind of like. Alright, so like I said, you got these pieces here. This is for the electric, and then 2 bolts in that. But for the life of me, I cannot figure out where those go. Okay, so that is the assembly of this item. I'm gonna take a second and give you guys some B-roll, but otherwise, like I said, the reason I bought this is because of size. It's a smaller size than a regular chop saw. Price, like I said, this was $24.99. This was $15. So south of $40, I've got myself a tool that I can use for cutting 90s and everything. Versatility and options. It's still a grinder. You can take this loose, use it loose from the rig, and use it as a grinder. If the grinder breaks, you can go get a new grinder and put it in this. It's not like if you have an abrasive saw and the abrasive saw breaks, you have to go buy a whole new abrasive saw, which is north of $130, $140. I've seen even the ones at Harbor Freight are around $140 and above. I've even seen it at like $160. I think is what the lowest one I saw. But yeah. That's nice and tight in there. That'll come down, cut that. The way I'm not exactly sure how they want you, because like if you do it like this, I don't like have my finger like that and everything. I'm more of like this. Because my finger's down here like this, I feel I've got a good center of gravity and everything. I'm not going to slip or nothing. But we're going to get you some B-roll of this in action and everything. So, give me 1 second. Okay, guys, so there you guys go. My little chop saw rig here, grinder chop saw. Like I said, very versatile. South of $40. I like it. I've got my glasses over here so I can see. Okay, so yeah. Grinder chop saw, versatile. South of $40. 4 stars on Amazon. The only problem I got is tensioning it to where there's no slop going this way and everything. That, and then there's no lock. Gotta get that out of there. But yeah. Yeah. Nice vertical cut on that. I'm very happy with this little guy. It's gonna make my life a lot easier. Just wanted to tell you guys, or show you guys how to put together everything, because like I said, the instructions I found needed some help and the video was just jumpy. So hopefully this video will help you guys out in going and getting one of these. I'll put a link to this just in the description. Like I said, $15 grinder, $24 on Amazon, 4 stars. It's okay. I mean, it's still got some problems with it, but at the same time, I think it'll do me some good. Make a nice tool to add to the toolbox. So, thank you so much for watching. Oh, fingers in the way, sorry. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I appreciate you. And please like, subscribe, and comment. Of course, let me know that I'm not just talking to a camera here. And I will see you guys later.